bit nervous, actually.
You are? Why?
Yeah.
Boy, talk to me.
I'm meeting all these people.
Oh yeah, but I'm not famous. I'm not Negan from The Walking Dead.
No, but you're here still.
Oh my God, come on, man. I'm drunk. That's what I am.
You're drunk?
No.
Oh, that's amazing. You want to share?
No. I'm gonna drink all this on my own. All this water.
Right, then we're rolling lovely.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
So tell me about Rampage. Why The Rock? Why Dwayne Johnson?
I don't want to answer that question. I'm not going to tell you about Rampage. No, I'm kidding. What specifically, what would you like to know, mostly?
What I would like to know is the thought behind the character, the casting.
Great.
Because
Yeah.
you've put, I think it's interesting. I'm from Sweden.
Yeah.
You put Malin Åkerman, the Swedish girl in the world,
Yes.
as a badass.
As a villain.
I was going to say bitch, but...
Villain's safer.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to go with villain.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, when they brought up the game, they brought it to Bo, the producer, myself, and Dwayne at the same time. And I probably had the same reaction a lot of people would have had, which is, what exactly do you think this is going to be as a movie? And I quickly, went and replayed the game and was like, oh, well, the game is basically 3 monsters destroying a city. I can definitely do that. And that could be a lot of fun. And then I talked to Dwayne, and I found out Dwayne was a huge fan of the game. And he was really interested in this idea of having a relationship with George, having rescued George and raised him. And both of us are big animal lovers. He has horses and raises fish and dogs, and I have cats and dogs. And so we just thought, well, that's cool. Like, that's something I haven't seen in a monster movie. And ultimately, their friendship is sort of the central pillar of the entire movie. It's where a lot of the humor and a lot of the heart of the film comes from. And then in terms of the rest of the cast, I really had a great time on San Andreas working with some really good actors. And you just want to be surrounded by people that inspire you and that can take the word off the page and make it even better, make it their own. So like Naomi Harris, was fantastic as Kate Caldwell, not just because she's so intelligent and has to be a geneticist and a scientist and make that gobbledygook science speak actually relatable, but she's so passionate. And when we talked, she was like, I can bring passion to this. I can explain why I want to do this. And then like Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Malin, they just brought so much to their characters. They brought like a, unpredictability, like a spark, where it was like, ooh, like Malin's a total sweetheart in real life. It's very strange. I was a little worried at the first, actually. Both her and Joe Manganiello are so nice that like I got nervous. I'm like, I cast the 2 nicest people in the world as villains. Exactly. How's this gonna work? But they're great actors, and everybody on the cast really brought something to it to make it kind of fresh.
I love the gorilla. I love George.
Yes.
The special effects and his sense of humor.
Yeah.
I have a very low sense of humor, but
right.
I loved it.
Right.
I loved it.
He's lovable. Like one of the things about George was when I talked to the crew, it was essential that George had a real heart and soul, because the movie is going to live or die based on the relationship between Davis and George. Their friendship is everything. The movie is about trust and friendship on a lot of levels. So we started looking into who could play George. We found this great actor named Jason Lyles. He went off with a guy named Terry Notary, and Terry is in all the Planet of the Apes movies. He trained all the other people to play apes. They trained for like 9 or 10 months in order to make Jason a gorilla. And then when Jason came to me, we started talking about who this character was. And for me, George was sort of like a mirrored reflection of Dwayne, an alpha male, the biggest guy in every room. And in my experience, the biggest guy in the room is rarely the guy who has to act tough, because they're just big. They don't have to act tough, they are tough. Yeah. And also, I, like Dwayne, wanted George to have a real sense of humor, so that you understood why these 2 guys were such good friends. And what Jason did with the role, and then what Weta Digital did in terms of bringing him to life, was fantastic. Because all of the facial features, that's Jason's acting. And all of George's eyes in the movie are actually the actor's eyes. So there's a lot of work went into bringing him to life.
I was wondering about if you compare the game with the film. It's a weird question, perhaps, but the gorilla in the game is brown. I saw someone calling this a whitewashed King Kong.
Oh man,
It will come up, probably.
that's the first time it's come up. But I would say this: the reason why he's an albino gorilla is for two things. One is I don't want it to be King Kong. It needs to be its own thing. And obviously, you do a giant gorilla, and you know there's another famous gorilla in a monster movie. So our thinking was, let's make him unique. The second thing is, in terms of story and character arc, albino gorillas are very, very, very rare. There's only ever been one in captivity. So the fact that we had to explain why Dwayne's character discovered him as a baby and then basically gave up his life and just stayed with this gorilla and raised this gorilla for his entire life, it would make a lot more sense if he was that rare. So those two things are the main thrust of why you would do that. In the 30,000 foot view, it's like, how do you make it stand out and different from King Kong? But then from the inside of the story, I really liked it because it just rationalized the entire character arc of these two and why they were such good friends.
Perfect.
And whoever said that just needs to, like, you know.
Want me to punch them?
I'd love that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go, that person needs to ... and then he's like, I'm gonna punch them. And I'm gonna be like, yes!